I have one photograph from a hospital that was never built. Out of 23, it's the only one that came out. The rest were blank. Like the camera photographed a place that chose not to be remembered. In the photo, a woman is sitting next to me. She's smiling. Her name was Helen. She's gone now. I can't find her. I can't find the hospital. No records, no listing, no building permits. According to the city, the lot where I parked 5 nights a week has been an empty field since 1987. But I have the keys. Brass and silver, green lanyard, hospital name in white. I have 8 months of pay stubs from a bank that shut down in 2011. I have a sign-in log with my name in it, dated 3 years before I was born. And I have a voicemail from Helen, time-stamped 3:33 a.m. on the night the hospital disappeared. She's telling me not to come looking. I'm going to tell you everything, but I want to start with the lot. Hargrove Street, between an old furniture warehouse and a laundromat that's been closed longer than I've been alive. I drove out there the day after I searched for the hospital online and found nothing. My car knew the way. I didn't use GPS. I didn't think about the turns. My hands just drove there the way your hands drive you home when your mind is somewhere else. The lot was empty. Gravel, weeds, chain link fence with no gate. But there was a patch of gravel near the back, lighter than the rest, rectangular, about the size of a parking space. I got out and stood on it. Antiseptic, that faint, sour, clean smell that hospitals breathe. It lasted about 4 seconds, then just gravel and wind. But here's the thing I haven't told anyone yet. There were tire tracks, not just mine. Dozens of them baked into the mud beneath the gravel. Years of tire tracks. In a lot the city says has been empty since 1987. I need to go back to the beginning. Not when I started, before that. Because nothing about how I got there makes sense, and I didn't notice until later. I'd been out of work for 3 months. Before that, warehouse jobs, temp work, the kind of labor where nobody learns your name and you learn nobody's. My mom had died 14 months earlier. Pancreatic cancer. Very fast. 63 years old. I'd sort of fallen apart in the quiet way that doesn't show. I wasn't drinking. I wasn't breaking things. I just stopped moving forward. My life had this low hum of nothing to it, like a refrigerator running in an empty apartment. I found the job listing on a bulletin board at a gas station. Handwritten, blue ink on an index card. Night security, St. Mercy Hospital, $18 per hour. Call between 6 and 8 p.m. I called at 6:15. A man answered. Calm voice, the kind that sounds like it's already decided everything is fine. He asked if I was comfortable being alone at night. I said yes. He said, "Can you start Thursday?" That was it. No interview, no background check, no application. I didn't even give him my last name. But when I showed up Thursday, the woman at the front desk, round face, glasses, smelled like lavender hand cream, looked at me and said, "Welcome back, James. Welcome back." I should have corrected her. I should have said I'd never been here before. But something about the way she said it, warm, practiced, like she'd said it many times, made correcting her feel rude, like denying something she needed to believe. Her name was Doris. She gave me the uniform, the lanyard, and a clipboard with the patrol route already filled out. The handwriting on the clipboard looked like mine. But it wasn't mine. The hospital was small. 2 floors, an east wing and a west wing. A basement I was told to ignore. The floors were that pale green linoleum you only see in buildings from the 60s. The overhead lights buzzed at a frequency you stopped hearing after a while, but never stopped feeling. And the sounds. A hospital has its own language, if you're there long enough. The hiss of ventilation through old ducts. The click of fluorescents warming up, distant footsteps that always seemed one hallway over, no matter which hallway you were in. the soft rhythmic beeping from behind closed doors, patient monitors, a dozen of them all at slightly different tempos, like a room full of clocks that couldn't agree on the time. There were patients. I need to say that clearly. There were patients. I saw them through windows indoors. Nurses walked the halls, not many, but enough. There was a cafeteria that closed at 8 p.m. but left the vending machines running. Their hum was a constant, like the building was breathing through them. And there was a chapel, first floor. 6 wooden pews and a stained glass window showing a pair of hands reaching upward. I couldn't tell if they were reaching for something or letting something go. But here's a detail I didn't notice until my second week. The window changed. Not while you watched. Never while you watched. But some nights the hands were reaching up, palms open. Other nights they were reaching down, fingers spread. I could never remember which one it had been the night before, and every morning at exactly 3:33, the PA system played a lullaby. Just a few bars. Something old. Something I almost recognized, like a song your mother sang you before you were old enough to remember words. 12 seconds. Then silence. The ventilation would hum, the monitors would beep, and the lullaby would be gone, like it had never played at all. I asked Doris about it once. She tilted her head the way a dog does when it hears a sound it can't locate. "It's always done that," she said. Helen started 3 weeks after me. The other night guard, West Wing, maybe 50. Short gray hair, a scar on her left hand from a dog bite when she was 12. She carried a thermos of green tea every shift and had a habit of clicking her flashlight on and off when she was thinking. Click, click, click. It should have been annoying. It wasn't. It sounded like someone keeping time. The first thing she ever said to me was, "You look like someone who alphabetizes his grocery list." "I don't make grocery lists," I said. "That's worse. That means you alphabetize them in your head." She was right. I'd never told anyone that. We fell into a routine without discussing it. Every night at 2 a.m., the dead center of our shift, we'd meet in the break room. She called it the Meridian. She'd pour her tea. I'd drink whatever was left in the coffee pot, which was never good and somehow never empty. The break room had a table with a wobbly leg. Helen shoved a folded napkin under it the first night. It didn't help. She adjusted it every single night anyway, convinced that this time she'd get it right. She never did. It became a kind of ritual. I started looking forward to it, the way she'd bend down, the quiet concentration, the small when it still wobbled. By week 3, I noticed I was finishing my East Wing patrol 10 minutes early. Not rushing, just walking a little faster toward the end. So I'd be in the break room first. So I'd hear her footsteps coming down the hall, the click of her flashlight, the sound of the thermos lid unscrewing. I didn't think about why. I just did it. She talked about her son, Caleb, Portland, called every Sunday. She'd recap their conversations the way some people recap TV shows with voices and pauses for effect and commentary. So he calls and I say, "How was your week?" And he says, "You'll love this." He says, "Mom, I burned the turkey so bad the fire department came." And I say, "Caleb, it's March. Why are you making a turkey?" And he goes, "I was practicing." She laughed at her own stories. This full, warm laugh that bounced off the break room tiles. It was the best sound in that hospital. She told me about her ex-husband, a good man who wanted a different life, which was the kindest sentence about a divorce I'd ever heard. She told me about a cat named Duchess, who lived 19 years and died in her sleep on a Wednesday morning, and how Helen sat on the kitchen floor holding her for 2 hours before calling anyone. "You don't rush that," she said. "You don't rush the last time you hold something." I told her about my mom, not the cancer, not the dying, the small things. How she hummed while she cooked, but never the melody, just the bass notes, so it sounded like the house itself was humming. how she kept a list of every book she'd ever read in a yellow notebook and put small stars next to the ones she loved. How she mispronounced quinoa for years, and when I finally corrected her, she laughed so hard she had to sit down. Helen listened, the way you listen to rain, completely, without needing to respond. One night, maybe week 5, she brought a jar to the Meridian, a mason jar full of pennies. She set it on the wobbly table and said, "My mother used to keep one of these on the kitchen counter. Every time something good happened, even small things, a nice sunset, finding a parking spot, she'd drop a penny in. When the jar was full, she'd take me for ice cream. Didn't matter how old I was, even when I was 35. Full jar, ice cream." She unscrewed the lid, dropped a penny in. "What was that for?" I asked. "The coffee is terrible tonight, which means I'll appreciate tomorrow's coffee more." She smiled. I smiled. The table wobbled. The ventilation hummed. And for a few minutes, the hospital felt like the safest place in the world. Another Meridian. Early on, maybe week 6, she asked me what I'd be doing if I weren't working nights. "Sleeping, probably," I said. "No, I mean with your life. Big picture." I thought about it. Really thought. Nobody had asked me that in a long time. Maybe years. "I don't know," I said. "I used to think I'd figure it out eventually. Then my mom died and I stopped thinking about it." Helen nodded. She didn't say she was sorry. She didn't say it would get better. She just said, "My mother's birthday is March 3rd. Every year I still buy a card. I sign it. I put it in an envelope. Then I put it in a drawer with the others. 14 cards now in a drawer nobody opens." She took a sip of her tea. "We do strange things for the people we miss," she said. "Yeah. Walking empty hallways at 2 a.m., for example." I almost laughed. Almost. It landed somewhere between funny and true, which is where most of the things Helen said landed. That's important. I need you to understand that. Before everything went wrong, the Meridian was safe. Helen was safe. The table and the tea and the bad coffee and the flashlight clicks, all of it was safe. Remember that. It matters later. I need to tell you about the man behind the door. Room 119, first floor, east wing. Part of my patrol route. Every room I'd pause, check the door, glance through the window, move on. Most rooms showed the same thing, a dim light, a bed, a shape under blankets, a monitor blinking. Room 119 was different. The window was frosted. You couldn't see in. Starting around week 4, whenever I stopped outside, I heard a voice. Quiet. An old man's voice, thin and papery, like pages turning. "Is it raining tonight?" The first time I almost didn't answer. Then I did. "Yeah, light rain." "Good. Margaret liked the rain." That was all. But the next night, he asked again, a small question. "Did the 3:33 song play?" "Yes." "Was it longer tonight?" I wasn't sure. "Pay attention tomorrow." His name was Arthur. He told me that on the 2nd week. I asked how long he'd been here. Silence. A long silence then. I don't remember arriving. Do you? Do you remember your first day clearly? I thought about it. The details were there, Doris, the clipboard, the uniform. But they felt rehearsed, like a story I'd memorized. The actual sensation of walking through the entrance for the first time, gone. "Not clearly," I said. "No one does," Arthur said. "That's how you know." "Know what?" He didn't answer. I heard the monitor beep. I heard him settle into his bed. Rain tapped the window at the end of the hall. But the next night, unprompted, he said, "You lost someone. Everyone here lost someone." I hadn't told him about my mother. I hadn't told him my name. "How do you know that?" I asked. "Because this building can hear it. The loss. It hums in people like a frequency. You carry it in the way you walk slow, careful, like you're trying not to disturb something that's already gone. Month 2. Helen found the employee directory, a framed list behind the front desk. Staff names, positions, extensions. About 30 names. Mine was there. Helen's was there. But 4 names had no position listed, just a name and a 4-digit extension. Helen had tried calling them. 2 gave a busy signal. 1 played silence, not static, not dead air, actual silence, like the phone was connected to a room where sound didn't exist. The 4th rang once, and a woman's voice said, "Not yet," and hung up. "Not yet what?" I said. Click, click, click. That same week, I noticed the security logs. Every shift, I signed in at the front desk. Date, time, name. Simple. But flipping back through the logbook, I found entries from before I started. Months before, years before. Same handwriting as the clipboard. The handwriting that looked like mine but wasn't. I found one entry dated March 2014. The name was mine, James Moran. My full name. I was 19 in 2014. I was stocking shelves at a hardware store. I'd never heard of St. Mercy Hospital, but someone with my name and my handwriting had signed into this building 10 years before I arrived. I showed Helen. She studied the entry, studied my handwriting next to it. "They're not the same," she said, "but they're close, like someone trying to write like you, or like you trying to write like someone else." She flipped further back. More entries. Same name, 2009, 2003, 1998. James. "Yeah, you were born in 1995. "I know." She closed the book. The overhead lights buzzed. The vending machine in the hallway hummed. Click, click, click. We sat with it for a while. She didn't try to explain it away. She didn't tell me not to worry. She just sat with me in the strangeness of it, and that was better than any answer she could have given. After a while, she said, "You know what's funny? Before this job, I hadn't had a real conversation with anyone in about 2 years. I'd talk to Caleb on the phone. I'd say hello to the woman at the post office. But a real conversation where someone actually listens, I couldn't tell you the last time." "Me either," I said. "Figures," she said. "We had to find a hospital that doesn't technically exist just to have someone to talk to." She poured the last of her tea. The sound of it, thin and steady, hitting the ceramic, is one of those sounds I still hear sometimes when the apartment is too quiet. The basement door was always open exactly 1 inch. Not 2 inches, not half an inch. 1 inch. As if the door itself had decided that was the correct amount of wrong. I'd close it during my 10 p.m. round. By midnight, it was open again. Same inch. Same darkness beyond. One night, I put a piece of tape across the hinge. If someone opened the door, the tape would tear. By midnight, the door was open. The tape was intact, not broken, intact. As if the door had never closed. As if my memory of closing it was the thing that was wrong. Helen had her own impossible room. The space between room 207 and room 209 on the west wing. No room 208 on the floor plan. But some nights, not every night, not on any schedule she could identify, a door appeared between 207 and 209, and behind it, a hospital room. Bed unmade, sheets warm, monitor off, but humming, and on the side table, a glass of water. Half full, same level, night after night. I marked the glass, she told me at the meridian. Tiny scratch on the rim with my pen. Same glass every time, same scratch. But the water should evaporate, James. It's been weeks. It doesn't go down. She poured her tea. I drank my coffee. Rain hit the windows. The table wobbled. "What kind of place keeps water from evaporating?" she asked. "I don't know." "What kind of place keeps things from changing?" I didn't have an answer. She didn't expect one. Somewhere during those weeks, I noticed something about myself. During my solo rounds, the hours before and after the meridian, I'd started keeping a mental list. Small things. A strange sound in the east wing. The way the chapel light hit the floor at midnight. A nurse I didn't recognize walking the wrong direction. I'd catalog them, hold them, save them. Not because they were important. Because I wanted to tell Helen about them at 2 a.m. I wanted to watch her tilt her head and say, "That's odd," or laugh and say, "You're making that up." I wanted to sit across from her at the wobbly table and have someone to hand the strange things to. I hadn't had that since my mom died. Someone to tell things to. Someone who'd care about the small, pointless details of my day. I didn't recognize what it was at the time. I just thought I liked the routine. Month 4. I went into the basement. The door was open its usual inch. I opened it the rest of the way. Concrete stairs. The air smelled like wet paper and something older, mineral, like the inside of a cave. My flashlight made the shadows lean. The stairs went down further than they should have. 2-story hospital. The basement should have been right below the first floor. I counted 51 steps before I reached the bottom. A long hallway. Fluorescent lights on, but dim, the kind of dim that makes you feel like you're remembering a place instead of standing in it. Doors on both sides. I opened the first. Filing cabinets, rows of them, old green metal with pull handles that stuck. I opened a drawer. Patient files, hundreds of them, names, dates, diagnoses, treatment notes. I pulled a file at random. A woman named Margaret Coe, admitted June 1978. Treatment notes spanning decades. Identical. Same medication, same dosage, same words, as if the same day had been recorded hundreds of times. The last entry was dated 2019. A single line. Patient remains. I pulled another. Thomas Whelan. Admitted 1983. Same pattern. Same ending. Patient remains. I pulled 6 more. Different names, different years. All ending the same way. Patient remains. Then I opened a drawer near the back. Newer files. And there was a folder with my mother's name. Admitted 2022. 3 years before she actually died. Diagnosed with pancreatic cancer, which was correct, but she wasn't diagnosed until 2023 in the real world. The file knew before it happened, and the last entry dated the day she died. The real day was in my handwriting, my actual handwriting, not the version that looked like mine. It said, "Patient lost. Staff failed to remain." I closed the drawer. I went back up the 51 steps. The door closed behind me, fully closed, for the first time, and the lock clicked and the hallway was silent. The 3:33 lullaby didn't play that night. First time in 4 months. The hospital was quiet in a way that felt like holding its breath. I brought the files to the meridian. Helen read my mother's file slowly, turning each page like it might dissolve in her hands. "Staff failed to remain," she said. "What does that mean?" I told her. I told her about the 11 minutes, how I'd been sitting with my mom for 9 hours, and I was tired, and I was hungry, and I stepped out to get a sandwich from the cafeteria. 11 minutes. When I came back, her eyes were closed. The monitor was flat. A nurse was standing there with that expression they learn, the one that's supposed to prepare you. She was alone when she died, because I wanted a sandwich. Helen was quiet for a long time. Then she said, "I was getting coffee." "What?" "My mother, when she died, I was down the hall getting coffee. 8 minutes. The nurse said she went peacefully. But I don't know that, James. I will never actually know that. I was 8 minutes away, and I'll never know if she looked for me." Rain. Monitors beeping somewhere distant, the ventilation breathing through the walls. "Is that why we're here?" I asked. She didn't answer. She dropped a penny into the jar. I didn't ask what for. Some pennies weren't for good things. Some pennies were just so you didn't sit in silence with your hands empty. I asked Arthur about it the next night. Stood outside room 119, forehead against the frosted glass. The files in the basement, they all say patient remains. My mother's says patient lost. Silence. Arthur, what does remains mean? His voice came through the glass like it was coming through water. What do you think it means? That the patients are still here. And they've been here a very long time. And what would make someone remain? I don't know. Yes, you do. Rain, beeping. The fluorescence hummed. Because someone wasn't there, I said. At the end, someone left the room. Arthur didn't confirm it. He just said, your mother's file says patient lost, not patient remains. Think about what that means. It means she's not here. It means she didn't stay. It means she went wherever people go and someone loves them enough to carry the guilt of leaving. Your 11 minutes didn't trap her, James. They trapped you. I pressed both palms against the glass. It was warm. Everything in this hospital was warm. Why am I here, Arthur? You already know. Tell me anyway. Silence. Beeping. The sound of an old man breathing in a room I couldn't see. Because you're the kind of person who checks every door, he said. And this is a building full of doors that need checking. By month 5, the meridian had become the only part of my day that felt solid. Not the patrol, not the paycheck. Helen, the sound of her thermos, the click of her flashlight, the wobble of the table. I'd get home at 6:30 in the morning and sleep and eat and do nothing and wait for 10 p.m. so I could drive back to a hospital that the city said didn't exist. And the only reason I went was a break room and a woman who remembered how I took my coffee. She'd started remembering things I told her. Small things. She'd ask about Davis, my roommate by name. She'd reference a story I'd told her weeks earlier. Once, she brought me a packet of hot chocolate mix from home because I'd mentioned offhand, one meridian, that I liked it better than coffee, but the vending machine didn't have it. A packet of hot chocolate. Such a small thing. I kept the empty wrapper in my coat pocket for weeks. The thing about Helen is that she made you forget you were in a hospital that shouldn't exist. One meridian maybe, month 5, she spent 20 minutes telling me about the time Duchess knocked a fish bowl off a shelf and then sat next to the dying fish with what Helen swore was an expression of professional assessment. She didn't feel guilty, Helen said. She was just reviewing her work. I laughed until my ribs hurt. She laughed until she snorted, which made her laugh harder. Another meridian, she got quiet and told me about teaching Caleb to ride a bike. How he fell 7 times and got back on 8. How the 8th time he made it to the end of the block and turned around with this expression, not proud, exactly. Surprised, like he'd discovered he could do something he'd always assumed was impossible. That's the face, she said. That's the face I think about when things are hard. Not the 7 falls, the 8th ride. She dropped a penny in the jar. Another night, she looked at me across the wobbly table and said, James, do you think anyone will remember us? What do you mean? If this place disappears, if it turns out it was never real, does that mean we were never real? These conversations, do they count if there's no building to have them in? They count to me. She adjusted the napkin under the table leg. The table still wobbled. Good, she said. That's enough. Month 6. The surveillance tapes. Helen and I had gotten into the habit of watching old security footage during the meridian. The tapes were VHS, time-stamped. We'd watch and Helen would narrate, look at this nurse, she walks like she's being chased by a very slow bee. And for a while it was just another part of our routine. Then I saw the date stamp on a random tape. October the 14th, 1996. East Wing hallway. A figure walking patrol. Dark uniform, green lanyard. The figure paused at a door, checked the handle, moved on. Same walk, same posture. The way I roll my right shoulder when I'm tired, a habit from years of warehouse work. It was me, my face, on a tape from 1996. I was born in 1995. We pulled more tapes, 2003. Me again, walking the same hallway. 2007. Me. 2014. Me. The same man in the same uniform, walking the same hall, but on each tape, something was different. Not my face, my pace. I walked slower in the older tapes, more carefully, like I was looking for something I hadn't found yet. The 2019 tape showed me stopping at room 119, leaning close, talking to Arthur, 6 years before I was hired. Having a conversation I don't remember, through a frosted door I'd supposedly never seen before. Helen turned off the monitor. The break room was quiet. Rain, ventilation, the hum of the building settling around us. "Maybe it's not you," she said, but her voice didn't believe it. "It's me." "Then you've been here before." "I don't remember." "No," she said. "Nobody here remembers arriving." 2 weeks later, Helen missed a shift. I knew before I knew. I felt it at 10 p.m. when I signed in and Doris wasn't there and the West Wing was dark. I felt it at midnight when I finished the East Wing early, the way I always did, and walked to the break room and the lights were already on, but the chair across from mine was empty. Her thermos wasn't on the table. I sat down anyway. I poured myself coffee. The coffee pot was half full, which meant no one had made a fresh pot, which meant she hadn't been here. I wrapped my hands around the mug and I listened to the ventilation and the monitors and the distant rain, and I waited. She didn't come. I did both wings alone. It wasn't hard, the hospital was getting quieter by then. Fewer nurses in the halls, fewer sounds behind doors. But the Meridian without Helen was just me and cold coffee and a wobbly table and the napkin still wedged under the leg where she'd put it the night before. I didn't adjust it. That was her thing. It felt wrong to touch it. She came back the next night. She looked dimmer, not tired. Dimmer, like someone had turned her brightness down. "I went to Portland," she said, "to see Caleb." "How is he?" She poured her tea. The thermos shook in her hands. "I called him Sunday. A woman answered. Said she didn't know anyone named Caleb. So I drove to his apartment, the address I've been sending birthday cards to for 3 years. It's a dry cleaner. Has been for a decade." "Helen, I searched his name. Caleb Martin Hayes. Nothing. No records, no social media. Nothing." Rain against the windows, the monitors beeping somewhere behind walls. "I have 4 years of text messages," she said. 6 years of Sunday phone calls. And I don't have a single photograph of my son." She looked at me. Her eyes were steady, and that was worse than crying. What if the hospital gave him to me? What if it gave me someone to miss so I'd understand the patients? So I'd stay? I didn't know what to say. So I dropped a penny in the jar. Helen watched me do it, and for a second, just a second, she smiled. The next few meridians were quieter, not silent. Helen still came. She still poured her tea, still adjusted the napkin, still clicked her flashlight. But something had dimmed in her, and I didn't know how to reach it. One night I told her about a dream I'd had. Nothing important, something about being in a grocery store where all the labels were blank. She listened, and when I finished, she said, "I had a dream about Duchess last week. She was sitting in a window I didn't recognize, in a house I've never been to. And she looked happy, really happy. And I woke up and I was glad, not sad, just glad she was happy somewhere, even if it was only in my head." She dropped a penny in the jar. "What was that one for?" I asked. "A good dream." I wanted to tell her that she was the reason I still came here. That without the meridian, this job was just dark hallways and locked doors and the sound of people breathing behind glass. That she'd become the first person since my mother who made me feel like I was someone worth sitting across a table from. I didn't say any of that. I just said, "The coffee's especially bad tonight." "It really is," she said. And she smiled, and it was enough. After that, the hospital thinned. That's the only word for it. Hallways I'd walked 100 times felt shorter. Rooms emptied not just of patients, but of furniture, of evidence. The cafeteria vending machines went dark. Their hum stopped, and the silence they left behind was louder. The chapel pews gathered dust. The stained glass hands were always reaching down now, never up. The directory behind the front desk lost names, one per night, sometimes two, like a list being slowly erased. I started copying names into my phone. The next morning, the names in my phone were gone too. The 3:33 lullaby got shorter, fewer bars each night, like it was running out of song. And the linoleum, that pale green linoleum, started to cool. Not everywhere, just in patches. The first floor hallway near the chapel. The west wing corridor by room 209. The spots that cooled were the spots that emptied first. The hospital was dying. That's what it felt like. Not disappearing. Dying. The way a person dies slowly, and then all at once, and the people around them can feel it coming but can't do anything except stay. I need to tell you about the last thing I saw on the surveillance monitors. The unforgettable thing. The thing I see when I close my eyes. It was 3 days before the end. I was alone in the security office, watching live footage. Camera 3. East Wing hallway. I was on the screen, sitting at the desk, watching the screen. Normal. But the hallway behind me, the version of the hallway on the monitor, was longer than it should have been. Much longer. And at the far end, barely visible, someone was standing. A woman. Small. Hospital gown. She was facing away. I stood up, opened the office door. The real hallway was normal length. No one there. Back at the monitor, she was closer, still facing away. I watched for 20 minutes. She moved only when I looked away, only in the gaps. By 4 a.m., she was standing directly behind me on the screen, close enough to touch. Then she turned around. My mother. Not how she looked at the end. How she looked when I was young. Dark hair, kind face, that expression she had when she was about to say something important but wanted to find the exact right words. She looked at the camera. At me. She mouthed something. I watched it 3 times, rewound the tape, played it back. 3 times, reading her lips. It's okay to eat. The sandwich, the 11 minutes. She was telling me it was okay. That leaving to eat when you're hungry isn't a sin. That 11 minutes away from someone you love isn't a betrayal. That she wasn't alone because I left. I was alone because I stayed too long in the guilt. I put my head on the desk. The monitors hummed. The building hummed. The bass notes of the lullaby played through the floor even though it wasn't 3:33, even though the song had been shrinking for weeks. It played for me. Just for me. And it was her voice. My mother's humming. The bass notes that made the house feel alive. When I looked up, the hallway on the monitor was empty. The tape, when I rewound it, showed nothing. Just a man sitting alone in a room full of screens. The last night, I arrived at 9:45. The lot was dark. The hospital entrance was lit, but the light was thin, watery, like sunlight during an eclipse. The lobby was bare concrete. No front desk, no directory. The east wing was a single short corridor with openings where doors used to be. No beds, no monitors, no beeping. Room 119 was gone, just wall, smooth and cold. I pressed my hand against it. Arthur? Nothing. I walked to the break room. The table was there, still wobbly, still scarred with coffee rings. The napkin was still under the leg, her napkin, folded into a small square, pressed into place by her hands 100 times. Helen's thermos sat on the table, warm. The penny jar was next to it. I sat down in my chair. Her chair was across from me, empty. The cushion still held the shape of her. I stared at it the way you stare at a door someone just walked through, expecting them to come back. Midnight. No Helen. 1 a.m. No Helen. 2 a.m. The meridian. I poured the last of her green tea into my mug and drank it sitting across from an empty chair in an empty room in a hospital that was barely there anymore. It tasted the way her laugh sounded, warm and surprising and full. The penny jar had 1 penny left. I don't know when the others disappeared, but one remained. At 3:33, the PA system played a single note, one bass note, low and deep. It vibrated through the floor, the walls, the table, my chest, my mother's hum. One note, then silence. I picked up the penny. I held it for a long time. Then I dropped it in the jar. At 6:15, the sun came up. I was sitting in an empty gravel lot on Hargrove Street, holding a thermos and 2 keys and a mason jar with a single penny in it. I developed the photos from Helen's disposable camera. She'd taken 23. 22 came out blank, not overexposed, not blurry, blank, white nothing, as if the camera had photographed a place that chose not to be remembered. One survived. The one of us, Helen and me, heads tilted together, the break room behind us. Her smile, my almost smile, the wobbly table, the mugs. Behind us on the wall, the employee directory. Every name is blurred except 2, hers and mine. I looked for Helen. I need you to know that. I looked for weeks. Helen Hayes. Nothing. No records, no obituary, no address. I searched for Caleb, Arthur, Doris, every name I could remember. Nothing. The bank deposits vanished. My account reset to what it had been before I started, as if I'd never worked, as if 8 months of my life had been a dream the world decided to forget. But I have the keys. I have the photo. I have Margaret Coe's file, my mother's file in my handwriting, with words I don't remember writing. I have Helen's thermos with the green tea stain on the lid and the small dent on the bottom where she dropped it once and said, "Duchess was more graceful than me, and Duchess was a cat." 3 months later, I found the voicemail. I was scrolling through my phone, deleting old messages, and there it was. No caller ID, no number. Time-stamped 3:33 a.m. on my last night. Helen's voice, but slower, like she was speaking from far away, or from a long time ago. James. I don't think I'm coming back this time. I can feel it like a building settling, you know? Everything getting smaller. I think the hospital is finishing what it does. It holds the people who were left behind, and it finds people like us, the ones who did the leaving, and it lets us walk the halls for a while, so we can practice being there. So we can learn that staying doesn't always mean you can save someone. Sometimes it just means they're not alone. I want you to know the meridian was real. The table was real. You were real. I don't know about Caleb. I hope he was real. I hope I had a son who burned a turkey in March because he was practicing. But even if I didn't, I had you, sitting across that wobbly table at 2 a.m., telling me about your mother's humming. And that was enough. Don't come looking for us. We remain where we're supposed to. And James. A pause. Eat the sandwich. She wanted you to eat the sandwich. The voicemail was 4 minutes and 12 seconds long. She stopped talking at 3 minutes and 9 seconds. The rest was silence. Not static, not dead air. Silence. The kind that has a shape. And in the last 5 seconds, so faint I had to press the phone against my ear, a monitor beeping. Slow. Steady. And underneath it, barely there, the bass notes of a song I've known my whole life. I still carry the keys, both of them, brass and silver on a green lanyard with a name in white. They don't open anything anymore. The doors they fit are somewhere I can't reach, in a building that exists only in the space between forgetting and holding on. Some nights I drive to Hargrove, park on the light patch of gravel, sit with the windows down and listen. Most nights, nothing. Just wind and traffic and the world going on without noticing what used to stand here. But once, just once, at 3:33 in the morning, I heard it. My mother's humming. Rising up from the ground, the bass notes, the ones that made the house feel alive. It lasted 12 seconds, and when it stopped, the passenger seat was warm, not sun warm, not engine warm, the kind of warm that means someone was just sitting there, someone who stayed,